Hi, Bhupathy. How are you? Good morning.
Very good morning, and very good morning to the team delegates and to the organizing committee. Thank you for inviting me. It's a great pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much for being here. It's an honor for us to have you here, and we are looking forward to learn so much new things from your presentation.
Thank you.
Good luck. Stage is all yours now. Please share your screen so that we can check.
Yeah, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can perfectly see your screen.
Perfect. Okay,
Okay.
sharing
Yes.
my slide. Yeah.
Perfect. Good luck. Stage is all yours now.
Okay. Thank you once again. And today we are going to talk about how this artificial intelligence and the decentralized clinical trial where it has been pronounced more of global changing the traditional clinical trial. So that is what I'm going to cover today, how we can enhance or transform the normal clinical trials. So we're just going to touch upon overview of drug development process for the traditional way, how we can focus on what are the main areas we can change and how this AI is going to be used in that. And uh, sorry, I need to quickly stop sharing it for a minute. Sorry, just for a minute, yeah.
Okay. Sure. No issues. Take your time.
So it just came up from another conference, so that slide was there. Okay, so same like AI, overview of AI and subset and what is the AI in clinical trials and account for the DCTs and how this contributes or merge together and we can see some use cases. So in terms of AI, it's like very simple term I can say it's like it acts like a human, like the intelligence demonstrated by the machines and unlike the natural intelligence expressed by the human, whatever the information what we provide and it can adapt reasonable and then it gives us predictable outcome. For example, like people use of okay Google, Siri or Apple, everything and automated cars, everything we use now with artificial intelligence. So the main subsets, one is the machine learning and the deep learning. Machine learning is nothing but a set of algorithm or instruction which we provide to the computer, and it automatically experience with that, and it provides a output with a prediction or a decision without being explicitly programmed to do so. So it is more of a reasoning capacity or logical predictions we call. And the other side is the deep learning. Deep learning is nothing but like our brain. It works like with artificial neural network with several layers. Majorly, we classify into input layer and output layer and the hidden layer. So like any information you provide, it just can think and adapt. For example, like in a Tesla car runs in a countryside and without a proper navigation, it can have some capacity to predict the environment, how the car should go, if there's a depth or if there's a stone in the front of it, it can stop. So the main reason why we use the AI compared to any other technology within this clinical transformation is that because it has a generalized learning and it has the adaptive structure and reasoning capacity and a problem solving capacity. So within the clinical trial, like the major areas, milestones, I would say, trial design, trial startup, and trial conduct and study closure. From the trial design, like if we use from the feasibility, we can use this AI. to design for the patient recruitment using the real world data, and also for the site performance for recruitment and the dropouts using the real-time monitoring. Also, it uses to interpret the unstructured and structured data from the previous trials or the structured scientific literature articles. We can extract this information for the trial design. And for study startup, like for we can go into the electronic health records and get the number of patients in a particular hospital or a country. We can get that, or in the publicly available content or social medias, we can get that information for the use of how many patients we can recruit or what is the geographical ethnicity for patient recruitment in the study. And it helps to use for the site contract preparation or model using the smart automation, and also using the wearables or mobile applications via sensors for the recruitment or the patient reminders, or using the e-consent process. More than e-consent, it is like kind of an automation of the e-consent where you can prepare patients for the respective upcoming or amended consent forms. For the trial contact, again, we can use this for site performance to have in real-time monitoring of enrollment dropouts and analyze the digital biomarkers on the disease progression or other quality of life indicators. And it also automatically shares this data to the other systems or vendor systems. It enhances the entire clinical trial process by using patients' participation or retention, mainly using the smartphone alerts and reminders, and e-tracking of medication using the smart pills, and e-tracking of missing clinical visit and triggers non-adherence to the patients. Study closeout, we can use this technology for the clinical trial report finalization using the NLP. We can draft and report, and we can add on the next sections. Data cleaning using the machine language, it's like much more advanced technology. And coming to decentralized clinical trial, it's another huge concept, majorly within the US and Canada market, and Europe it is picking up, and the rest of the country it's like again is picking up because of many regulatory and ethical clarifications, I would say, requirement. So decentralized clinical trial are defined as those executed through telemedicine and mobile or local healthcare providers using the procedures that vary from the traditional clinical trial model. For example, patient has to go to the site to collect the IMPs or the for the lab assessment. So now this can be overridden using the patients can receive the IMPs at home, and the lab test can be done at home as well. Like so, certain things have changed at the moment, and telemedicine has come, and the PI also can meet the patient using a virtual conference calls or kind of a video conference, can clarify those doubts, or chatbots are coming to help the patient visit. So why we want to use this DCT? Because there is lots of complexity. One is like more than 80% of the trials do not meet enrollment timelines, and the only 20% of the patients, for example, enrollment timelines were met, and we use that data for an approval from the regulatory authority. It is but very less data. We don't use, or it does not cover all the patients, those who really suffer. So the patient enrollment is just less than 5% in clinical trial. It has been very big an issue. For example, like a diabetic study, very few patients are there, and the retention is more than 50% patients get dropped out, and the new therapy taking average 10 years, and the compliance is again a big challenge. So these are major complexity of the traditional clinical trials, and the process is also like many sites do we need to have, and number of site staff like investigators, systems, study startup site monitors and everything. It's like too many people in it. But if we see the virtual trials, that will be subject at home, at his relaxed mode in the house, sitting watching TV, and he can participate in clinical trial. He can parallelly send information in a mobile health device that transforms to the EDC, and the remote nurse visit a patient home, or virtual PI where he can clarify any questions, a nearby medical committee if there's any urgent medical care required. I think nowadays most of the trials are hybrid trials. The hybrid trials, which is like mixed of both, where, for example, oncology trials where the patient needs a radiotherapy, so he has to go to the site, and for a certain assessment they have to go. So it is like still an overcoming process. So if you see year by year, it is growing up and up, and definitely like in 2021, also there have been many clinical trials conducted, decentralized trials, especially the pandemic situation has created and a great opening for the decentralized clinical trials. There are many, like as I said, hybrid and the traditional ones, and we are fully decentralized clinical trials. We are focusing on where we use the telehealth, wearable, digital therapeutics, and real-time tracking, and AI, and ML augmentations are really helpful. So similar way, like what we see in the clinical trial process, the artificial intelligence plays a various role. Similar way, like in the decentralized clinical trial, also it has been played fantastically. So for example, the protocol and study optimization has been much more faster and faster site selection because like it is easier for a lot of electronic conversation rather than the actual physical visit. And contact finalization much faster, as I said, using the AI, efficient, targeted, and the digitally led study startup. So some way like every process, recruitment process, enrollment, and logistic, and for outcome measures, we use the real world data, virtual assistants, in-house cloud-based EDCs. It's all like very much has been widely used across the industry. So many areas, therapeutic areas, is being focused. Before, only rare disease is being much focused on the DCT trials. Now, like every indication, especially like oncology, like if you see on high area of focus, cardiovascular, inflammation, inflammatory, and neurology, so respiratory, and all of the indications has been on high priority. There are many technologies like mobile technologies, which is more common, like ERT. Now, Caro has been in demanding on market share leader for these mobile technologies, wearables, and in-home devices, sensors, ANA, ML. It's also being used widely for this technology. So highly it has been considered. But the major components which we need to focus on the DCT trial is like open enrollment. So through online avenues, we can get patients across the globe and adequate the access present. Any patient can participate and centralized model because everywhere now we talk about the patient centric. So single city coordinator at the center where the directed by PI and data collections, patients or caregivers can provide this information, healthcare providers, electronic health records, laboratory, from laboratories we collect the data, home health agencies, certain countries have this concept. And the benefits of TCT is like it maximize the patient availability and the enrollment and overcome the mobility issue, for example, geriatric patients or the pediatric patients. So uh, they can participate even much more easier where sitting at home. They don't need to depend on carers. Keep subject engaged within the study through the online reminders or the mobile articles or like pamphlets or newsletters, which is much more easier rather than taking time to print and send to patient home. Faster data collection because it is all connected with the internet and we collect the data with the in no time. Benefit to research team, definitely when we get the data faster, we can analyze if there's any safety signals, we will know much earlier than traditional clinical trial. This is very important point, and reduce the risk in the drug development process because as I said, like there are many trials get failure and we can reduce that risk of losing the clinical trial. Cost effectiveness, definitely, like we with the AI we can predict many studies like how best we can conduct or how positive it will be the outcome and everything. So it is always not easy in any new process. So the main challenges with the DCT implementation, so biggest challenge is the develop trust because not every country and every company, every hospital or site is not easily possible to conduct that. So we need to develop a lot of trust on the system, and it is a way of future. That's what I would definitely think. And data accuracy is again a big challenge because most of the data has been entered by the patients. So however we do train the patients, and it is a kind of a confidence or retraining, making sure the patient understand to enter the data. So the data accuracy sometimes will be challenging and generally effective with the younger population. The main reason is they will burst with the technologies, but and de-identification bit of challenging moment. Patient concern over the sensitive data on internet, definitely, including me sharing the data on the internet, is will be a question mark. So how the data being protected, we need to be highly conscious on that. And you have to invest in sophisticated technologies for the DCTs. Not definitely not a very heavy investment, but it is a very nominal investment. But I feel that it is in a long run this kind of investment is really, really worth for any company. Diseases that require in-hospital monitoring not appropriate for this approach. So if you want to go into full-time DCT, we can't do it at the moment because certain procedures need in-hospitalization monitoring for certain studies. So a contribution in DCT, like as I said, in COVID crisis, we have seen a lot of changes and a lot of focus on DCT trials and using AI much more being widened now. Society is minimize geographical transportation time, cost, and other barriers that can improve the diversity of the participants. To reshape the workflow across the clinical life cycle from dialysis into patient recruitment, definitely this more, both mergers definitely gives an output in any clinical trial, including especially focusing on the oncology trials as well. If we use the right analytical tool and the AI, definitely can provide more target validation and trial design and patient identification. So the net effect is definitely a powerful force. There are many use cases, like including the COVID, it has been proven as that the technology of AI and the DCT is really, really much more seen positive in other clinical trials. And recently, in the globally, I would say many trials has been started using those DCT models. So these are a few used cases which would be really useful to have an idea about the clinical trial one. Conclusion is like customize the trial design that derive result. Definitely like a deploy AI with purpose always. Don't rush. And DCT definitely fuels the AI engine by combining both innovations. Companies definitely will improve the three crucial areas: clinical trial design, patient recruitment, and evidence generation. Real time, real world, and enhanced data quality in evidence generation. DCT requires a digital avenue. So we need to make sure the evidence and traditional clinical trials do not do like that. Organizations are now developing the cloud-based machine learning systems, so that is more prominent one. And customizes trial design that derives results, very important factor to be considered because the AI that can consume vast data set and utilize complex algorithm to learn from it. So we need an appropriate and more accurate data from the unstructured to the structural data concept as well. So merging both definitely will give a clinical potential. So it makes more models even smarter. So that's what I think I bit of brushed. So please let me know if you have any questions. Hi Rama, yeah.
Hi, Bhupathy. Thank you so much for your wonderful presentation. And we do have a question in the QA session. What is the best way to study AI for medical affairs people? So, if you want to
AI
ask,
for
yes.
AI for medical affairs people. Maybe I'm not the right person to answer on studying about medical affairs or we can using study about the AI for medical affairs. I would think overview of AI because there's many institutions like Berkeley's or like Harvard or London Business School and other institutions. They provide AI basics of AI. So you want to know two main things. What do you want to study? Is it like applying AI or the business of AI? So apply AI is like you have to study about more of the programmings like Python or overview of how they do this Python programming or are using this technologies or softwares, how this has been evaluated, how to do that. But If you want to know the overview of AI, to just to monitor, because that is what I did, is like the business of AI, how this technology or the program is being used within this business, pharmaceutical business, or in the medical side, how this is being used. So there are many courses in yeah, YouTube as well. I will very, very honestly to say that there are free courses and where you can study about that, and Udemy, and there are many similar to Udemy. It's like they provide basic courses and it is very cheap, 10, 12 quid or something like that. You can know about the basics of AI.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Bhupathy, for your wonderful presentation, and it was really very interesting session. I'll ask the
No,
audience that if
welcome.
they are having any questions regarding your presentation, they can ask in the chat or in the QA session.
Yeah, definitely I'm available. You can reach me on my LinkedIn as well if anybody wants to have more questions or conversation.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Have a wonderful rest of the day.